All right, let's hit pause on the music. Alrighty, let's get started. And this week we are looking at chapter 10, behind the scenes of software programming. We do have a guest speaker. She's coming in at roughly 6:30. I guess she had something else to do, and that's fine. That gets us going anyways. So I am okay with that. The one thing with software programming, I always wish we had more time to actually sit and program, but we don't really have the time to do that. Somebody was trying to get in, waiting room. Oh, there we go. Okay. Had to make sure we get everybody into class. Sometimes we try to do a little hands-on type programming activity in class, but when you get to the simulations of Access, I know, or is it Excel? I can't remember. You do some Visual Basic, so you get a little bit. It's not a lot, but if you're interested in programming, you'll get a lot more as you move on to the higher level technology classes or the more focused. But for this week, and you know what, I forgot to edit that week 8 again. I don't know why I keep forgetting to do that. But the winners of the PowerPoint party, I've got your gift cards coming in the mail. I did pick those up over the weekend, so I just have to get them in the mail for you. And they are $20 gift certificates to Cafe Rio. So I was hoping with $20 you'd have enough to either pig out and get what you want, or you could take a friend and, you know, maybe skimp a little bit or chip in a couple extra dollars for 2 of you to eat.
Cafe Rio is the cat's pajamas.
My husband really likes Cafe Rio, so we eat there about once or twice a week. So I get burnt out on it, but it's definitely good. Someone asked, yes, I did announce last week who won, and it was Garrett, because that was student choice, and then my choice was Lincoln. And I selected him because with his PowerPoint, I'll jot my notes down here, he used different layouts, had some images, like an overlay image, and it was just overall visually engaging and appealing. So that's why I picked out Lincoln's PowerPoint. So those are the winners. That's who it's going to. And Cafe Rio is what they both said they liked as far as eating. Our guest speaker, when our best guest speaker comes up, please have your webcams on. If you have a webcam and you're able to turn it on, you'll want to mute yourselves, but turn that on because I know, she's not familiar with you all. And to come in as a guest speaker and not see anybody and feel like she's just talking to herself or she has no idea who she's talking to, it's weird and it's uncomfortable. So if you don't mind when she comes on, I've kind of gotten used to it. And as a teacher, you're used to talking and people not listening. So when you can't see them, you just hope they're listening, kind of like in class when they might be sleeping but anyways, it's always nice if people have their webcams on, you can see them. And that way she can also see if you're looking confused or if you have questions, if you're laughing, not laughing. So that will be helpful. One other thing, just to let you know, I've been having migraines. I started having migraines, I don't know, I think Saturday, and I've had 2 migraines today. And the main reason I'm telling you that, it messes up my speech sometimes or even my thought process. So if I seem a little off, that's why. The migraines are supposed to be similar to seizures. It's not a seizure, but I guess medically or what happens to your body behind the scenes is kind of similar. So anyways, they'll just kind of throw me off a little bit. It's like, I'm fine. I put Tylenol in me. I'm good. But if I'm off, I'm not drinking. it's a migraine. Okay, resources. So in the Canvas course, if you remember, I put in a module. It's called Resources to Continue Building Skills and Knowledge. I've added some additional resources there that can help you out. And I'm really bad. I'm always adding, I'm bad and good, right? I'm always adding things where you can further develop your skills. And and it's even stuff where if you would decide to stop going to college, you could still get the skills you need to get a career. And it's like, I'm not encouraging you to drop out of college, but I just know life happens. So I want to provide you resources where you can get the skills that you need to be able to do what you want to do. So one of them, Skill Finder, it's nice because you can kind of go in and select one or two things that you would like to do, and then it automatically pops up courses, and I think majority of them are free courses that you can take to develop your skills and their current skills. So it's not going to be old skills that aren't going to do you any good. It's actually skills that the world's looking for now. If I remember right, that's the one, actually, I think both of these sites are out of the UK. So there might be, when you look at it, there might be a bias maybe towards skills that are needed in the UK, but just looking at it, I don't think there is. I think they're trying to honestly look at what skills do you need to get jobs these days. So the Open University, they're one, that's a group that I have followed for a long, long time. They've been around for a while, and it's the Open University because they have free courses. Like every course they offer is free. I don't know if they do any paid stuff, but the whole idea is it's free education. They have courses on anything and everything. So unrelated to technology, I just sent one to our baseball coach because it was talking about the journey of an athlete. So it's kind of the psychological aspect and maybe even the physical aspect that an athlete goes through, starting as a high school athlete all the way to an adult. So there's all types of stuff. I think, I can't even remember. They have, the Open University has like legal stuff, medical stuff, health stuff, all kinds of technology stuff. So those are just resources where you can go and get your skills. And even if you stay and you get a degree and you go, I mean, I'm following them, right? I go in and I do stuff all the time, and I've already worked all the way through every degree I can in my field, but yet I still go to learn more to keep my skills updated, to expand my skills. So take advantage of those resources, bookmark them. They're in the Canvas course, but after you get out of my course, we kind of close the course down. You don't have access. So go in and bookmark those. Next week, we have an Excel project coming up, and I just wanted to prep you on this. I'm modifying the assignment from what I did last year. So I want to have time to write it up so you'll understand the project. But what we're going to do, you're going to create an Excel spreadsheet, and you're going to be looking at jobs. So you want to figure out what's the job that you want to do in life. Like you're taking classes, you're learning, you've got this goal of what you would like to do as a career. Try to narrow that. If you don't know exactly what you want to do at this point, try to narrow that down to one job or like one general career field. Try to narrow it down as much as possible. And then we're going to collect some data, do some research on that, record that information in the Excel spreadsheet. Then we're also going to start pulling actual information and data. So you'll look at 2 to 3 regions where you think you'll want to live. So when you settle down with your career, where do you want to live? Like I said, pick out 2 to 3 regions. So one might be Phoenix, one might be North Carolina, wherever it is that you're thinking about living. But try to narrow that down, because we're also going to collect information and data and put that into the spreadsheet. Okay, so just a little heads up, start thinking about that. And then I'll get the project modified. Always try to do projects that I think will benefit you as a person, whether you're going into technology or not. So that's my goal with that one. Okay, so just looking at this week, kind of looking at the importance of programming to both software developers and users, summarizing the stages of the system development cycle. My guest speaker, she'll typically cover some of what they do when it pertains to this, because what they do is different than what's actually in the book. We'll look at list of steps in program development, which is similar to system development, but can be a little bit different. How programmers construct a problem statement from a description of a task, and we'll actually do an activity around that one if we have time. Explain how programmers use flow control and design methodologies when developing algorithms. Look at the categories of programming languages, the role of debugging in program development, the importance of testing and documentation, the driving factors behind different programming languages, selecting or identifying an appropriate programming language. Sometimes you don't have a choice, but sometimes you do. and then compare and contrast modern programming languages and look at the key principles in the development of future programming languages. So that's what we've got on the agenda. And looking at understanding program, there are tasks when it comes to programming that can be complex. Obviously, that's why not everyone is a programmer, because right, if it was easy, we would all do it. And if we all did it, it probably wouldn't pay as well. So it's definitely complex. If you pay attention in your math, your science, even just reading and following directions, those are skills that can help you with programming. My husband, he's loves algorithms. That's what he takes joy in doing, is figuring out newer and faster algorithms. So that's something that comes in handy, very handy when you're programming. So if you have any interest in that, then programming might be for you. But a lot of it does require human touch. It's still not to the point where a machine can just do everything for us. A lot of the tasks, the reasons they're being written is because it's to help out repetitive tasks, you know, to automate that so that a human's not having to do it. Work with electronic information and follow a series of clear steps. All right, we won't do this yet. We'll wait for our guest speaker to get here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start looking at the life cycle. Some of this may not be interesting to everybody because if you're not interested in programming, but if you look, sometimes these skills can be applied to project management. So if you're going to be doing anything along the lines of project management in a job, it's highly possible because a lot of jobs and you end up doing project management to be successful. So kind of look at it from that lens too, and you might be able to get some little pieces of information out that are useful to you. But looking at a career in programming, we've already looked at, I've shared a lot of like job information on jobs in technology, software engineer, and there's definitely, especially in the Phoenix area, there's a lot of jobs in that area. They do have good salaries. And then telecommuting is often easy to arrange. That really depends on the company you're working for and the manager that you're working for. My husband's been through different managers at Intel. Some of them support the telecommuting, some of them don't, even though Intel in general supports telecommuting. So that's kind of hit and miss. It really depends on where you go. But one thing to keep in mind, if you're negotiating a contract to be a software developer, that's definitely something you can negotiate with. So keep that in your back pocket when you're looking at negotiation, especially if you want to have a family. The telecommuting definitely comes in handy. Okay, programming is necessary when there's no existing software for the task. That's what my husband does at Intel. He actually programs for the company. So he's not programming software that's going to be outside of the company. Their contractors might use it, you know, outside contractors, but he's literally programming software for within Intel. But even outside, he's been approached, a tattoo salon at once was inquiring about them coding software to actually help with the business of doing tattoo. He ended up turning it down. He didn't do it because it was a buddy of his that was wanting him to collaborate to do it. I don't remember why he decided against it. But anyways, there's many different people in businesses that need programming. So I don't think, and our needs change, right? So programming is not ever going to go away. And then macros can execute a complicated sequence of steps. This is something you can do within Office. It's just something that's repeated often. Instead of coding it or walking through the steps every single time, you can create like a little mini program that you use a single command. It might be a keyboard shortcut that will automatically run a series of commands or a sequence of steps for you in order to make it quicker so you're not having to do it manually every single time. All right. Okay, still looking at information systems development cycle. It's so an information system is a collection of pieces working to achieve a common goal. Information system, when you think about it, it's not, it may not be one device or one program. It's many, many different pieces working together collaboratively to reach a common goal. And then here's a list of what is included in an information system. So it's all the way from the data to the people, the procedures, the hardware, the software. So as you can see, an actual system can get very complex when you start pulling in a lot of different pieces. Another example with my husband, those are the best examples I got, right? Because I hear about his work all the time. But I know once they had to take down 40 servers, and for every minute it was down, like Intel lost $1 million or something, because they had a contract in place with this company that if the system was down and the company was not able to use and access their information, that Intel had to pay them money, or, you know, it was subtracted from the money that the company owed them. And it was something crazy, like for every minute down, it was $1 million. And it was 40 servers. So it was 40 servers that are all working together, talking together. They had to be updated and then back up as quick as possible. And when you imagine 40 servers, it's not just one person, you know, it's communicating with the company, with the people that are going to be doing the work, getting the software ready, the hardware ready, and making all of that happen. Okay, our guest speaker is coming in. So let me go ahead and take us back to her slide, and then we'll get going. Okay. Hi, Seema. Her audio is connecting, not connected yet.
Hello?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Just getting this set up. Okay, there you go.
Oh, no problem. No problem. We were just diving into the content a little bit, starting to talk about an information system and what, you know, that an information system involves hardware, software, people, data, you know, it's all of it together. So that's where we were at as far as talking about our content in our book. But if you want, we can jump right in. I was bad. I didn't tell you I did this.
No, this is okay. This is
but
really fun.
I found an article that they published on you in May of this year, May 20th, through Phoenix. What was it? Phoenix something.
Voyage Phoenix.
Yes, Voyage Phoenix. So I sent them the link. I don't know how many of them looked at it, but
that's wonderful. Yeah, I should have. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that was a while ago, but thanks for finding that. It kind of slipped my mind.
Well, I thought it'd be good to give them an introduction to you, really, you know, everything that you you're not just a software engineer, you do much more, and how you make it work. And so if you want, you can jump right in, introduce yourself. And then once you give them a little teaser, we'll throw them into breakout groups so they can come up with some questions to ask you.
Yeah, I actually made a quick intro slide.
Perfect. Do you want me? I have to give you, let me give you host rights. Okay. And then you can share it. Okay, it says you're co-host.
Okay.
So you should be able to share down at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know you guys don't use Zoom really at Intel. You got your own, or you use a Microsoft product, don't you?
Oh no, yeah, we use Microsoft.
Okay.
So trying to get this. Okay.
So you can either share your screen and just share it as like you're sharing your the application.
Yeah, I was thinking of sharing, or I can share the window.
I wonder, you know what? I probably have to stop share. Let me stop share.
Yeah.
Might make it easier for you.
Okay, cool. So this will work. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet. Sometimes there's a delay. No, it's not sharing.
Yes? No?
Oh,
I
yes.
see it.
Yes,
Okay.
we can see it.
Cool. Hi, everyone. So my name is Seema Raman, and I'm a software engineer. I work at Intel, and yeah, I've been working at Intel for almost 4 years now. Seems like a really long time. Yeah, but it's been pretty interesting. And yeah, I work as a full stack developer. That means that I kind of take care of everything. I've done, like, I've worked on all like different kinds of roles as a software engineer. It's been like on the front end, the back end, and if you're confused what that means, it's like what you can see and then what the database stores and all parts of it. And I've had different kinds of experiences. Um, I have done my bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Fun fact, I actually was born here. I was born in California, but then my family moved back to India when I was in high school, which is the best time to move to a different country.
Not.
And yeah, so I was in a completely different environment and different education culture, of course. And I decided to finish up my high school, and to save some extra money, we figured, well, I'll just complete my bachelor's. And as I was completing my bachelor's, or actually before I even finished it, my family was very particular that I should complete my master's as well, because that's like, maintaining the honor of the family. But I don't even know. It's just this. It's again part of the culture. It's their my parents were really big on me pursuing either engineering or medicine. That's kind of how it is in the Indian community, or like, the South Asian community. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna just do that. I was a naive kid, 18-year-old kid, and I didn't know what to do. And I decided to do computer science because I kind of had done a little bit of coding in high school, and I was like, okay, I like math, I can do this. And I did 4 years of that. And then after that, I was like, okay, I want to go live my dreams. I was living with my parents even then, and I was like, I want to be independent. So I was like, I want to move to LA, and I will follow their dreams of doing my master's, but I also want to go and become a Hollywood star. So I said, I will go and do my master's only if it's in LA. So I only applied to a few schools, and my dream schools were obviously USC and UCLA. And I actually missed the deadline for UCLA like an idiot, but I somehow got into USC. I was like, great, I'm gonna go follow my dreams in LA, go and do that. But then I realized the curriculum was really challenging, and I was just bogged down by my academics. I would pass by the cinematics art school every time, go to class, but I never got a chance to even take a class or do anything of that sort. And I think life kind of gradually moved on like that, where I finished my master's in like a year and a half, and I was time to look for a job, and I got an offer at Intel. And at that point, I was like, I'll just go to Arizona now, forget my dreams. And yeah, because like at that point you just want to make money, right? And I hated Arizona because I didn't have all my friends were in California, and I was stuck here in Arizona, no friends. Like, obviously my family's halfway across the world. And I was kind of bummed out. I didn't really like my job either. But then eventually I kind of got into a really good team, and I realized that, this is actually the best part of my life. Like, I was grateful that I could be doing a background in I'm glad my parents forced me into doing computer science, because as I was doing my job, I decided to take classes, acting classes. I was like, why should I go all the way to LA? I thought I'll be in Arizona for a year and a half and move back. And I said, like, okay, I'll take acting classes. And through that, I decided to get into more creative stuff, because for almost 5-6 years, I was just studying. Like, all my childhood stuff of all the, normal hobbies we have was kind of canceled after my undergrad and grad school. And finally I could get back into it, and it felt so nice. but the reason why I say I'm grateful for the path that I went through is because I noticed that a lot of people who were in the creative field were much younger than me, and they were still figuring out life, and they were in the creative field. And as much as it's amazing to go follow your dreams and do just that, I figured that like also in income and me, like that is equally important. And I'm glad that I am working at Intel, because then I can like go and follow my dreams on the side. So that's kind of like the gist of the story. I didn't mean for it to be so long, but basically all I'm saying is good that you're in school, study, but also you can go follow your dreams. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at. And yeah, so on one side, my career, I do a lot of data analysis for Intel. Like I've been doing, as I said, of different kinds of roles. I was working, like I did some web development for some time, and now I'm doing a lot of data analysis with Python. I've done a little bit of like, not very like good at machine learning. I'm at a beginner level, but I get the gist of it. But for the most part, like I really love Python. I really love even web development, and seeing anything that I can write come to life and make someone use it is like that's what I love doing, and I love thinking, and I love using that side of my brain. But on the other hand, once I'm done with work, I want to be able to do anything that's creative. Like I do love acting, and then dancing, of course. And I also have done emceeing, which is that picture you see on the right, like for events back at USC. I love making music videos, because I think it's, again, like that visualization sounds really random, but I would love to do like music videos or direct stuff like that. I also have a podcast because, you know, as I've been living in Arizona for 4 years now, I met a lot of people who taught me some great values, and I built a community almost from these different creative fields, and I decided to start a podcast called Sushi with Seema. You know, it sounds nice, but it also is like, you know, we're getting raw, and it has different kinds of themes to it, but it's, again, it kind of has the same path of the story and journey that I've been going through. So yeah, that's kind of like my life right now. Um, Obviously with this pandemic, and you know, considering that I've been done this with you know, Jeanette, like for like a couple of years now, and now I'm like doing it from my home. It's really strange. It's a strange time, and even a lot of my creative activities have come to like a halt. And working from home has been interesting, you know, not being able to see people and just talking to them. So yeah, I understand what everyone is going through. And so I want this session to be like as open as possible. Yes, we can talk about my career path, and or if you have questions about that, but like even like I've come to acceptance of like, okay, life is going to be different. Like this journey from the past 2 years has been amazing of how I could do these things, but I've also learned like, okay, things can, you know, come to a halt, and you need to be able to accept that, and also make use of the situation in the best way possible. So I think that's my strength, is that I'm like flexible, and if I can move across the world at a very weird age, I think that's a testament to let anything come my way. Let's go. So yeah, thank you for listening to me. Have your like breakout session now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is throw you back into the breakout sessions you were in at the beginning of class. And I've created, so let me type it, or let me paste in the URL. I created a Google slide, and there's one slide where each group, just go in and claim one of the groups, and you can actually add in your questions. So we'll give you like 5 minutes. I'm going to throw you into your breakout rooms. Just whatever question you would like to ask Seema, and then we'll let Seema pick out a couple and answer them for you, or all of them, whatever she feels like doing.
It's saying that we need access again.
Again? Dang.
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. I just went through the questions, and they're so diverse. So I'm kind of like to them in chunks of like, I guess, career, life, etc., whatever. So let's just get into it. So I guess one of the questions was, do you have to renew or obtain licensing in your career? And then the other question was like, are you happy with your career? So I think they're kind of interlinked. So I'll try to answer both of them. So for like my profession, it's not like a medical profession where you have to write like a licensing kind of like exam or some. It's not like that. Once you get your degree, that makes a huge difference. Some people don't even need a degree to pursue this profession. Some people do take just courses, and I guess the main thing is, are you able to clear that interview? Because that's, I guess, the biggest obstacle. You could have an amazing degree, but like your interview process, you might not be so good at coding, because generally that's what they ask in interviews like this. Definitely a degree gives you an edge over others. But there are people who are considered, who've been doing it, coding since high school, or, nowadays much younger than that because of the internet. And yeah, I think you can definitely do that, but I wouldn't say you need a license, but I always believe that you should always brush up your skills. There's new technologies coming out really often, but I would say you can get see what that's about, but also be strong in your foundations, because they're not going to ask you 5 different things. They're going to ask you, are you good at that one thing? And at the end of the day, you have to be reliable, because you could be a great coder, but if you're a bad coworker, they're not going to hire you. So it's interchangeable. And am I happy with my career? And I would say, yes, I am actually really happy with my career, especially now during the pandemic. I'm really blessed, to be honest, because I can be able to work from home and, still do the things that I do. And I am grateful that I am doing something that I studied. Ideally, would I have loved to be in Hollywood by now? Yeah, but then I don't know if I would have had a job by now at the same time. So I don't know. I think I'm happy. And I don't know where my career is going to take me. I'm still figuring that out. I also feel like I really love being a leader at the same time. So I might pursue an MBA in the future. Intel is really supportive about pursuing your further education. Like many other tech companies, they tend to pay for your education, which is great. So that's a big bonus. And then the other one was related again to what I'm doing, which is like, what is Python and what is its purpose? And there was another one saying, would getting certificates in something like Python or SQL be a good substitute? You already have a degree. And then the other one was like, what are some good coding languages to learn? So again, those are all very similar. So I'll start with the coding languages. So when you are basically a coding language, you are writing a program or something, and then you're creating something from that program. I guess that's the best way to explain it. And as you know, there's so many different like coding languages that you can learn. There's like C++, Python, JavaScript, and it can get really overwhelming when you hear all of these languages and you're like, oh my gosh, do I have to learn all of them to even do this? And I suggest to people, like, if you are interested in, if you like go to a website and you're the kind of person who really likes, how a website the layout is and the color scheme and it's easy to use, like, and the interface, then you might be really good at what they call front-end development, which is again like the website, and you can learn HTML and JavaScript. That's kind of that's a good starting point for that. And that's really, again, simple to use. If you just go online and do some Googling, you would understand a lot of concepts. Like for us too, it's not like we know everything on the top of our heads. Google is our best friend, to be honest. And then Python is if you are just wanting to understand how coding works, like on the logical side, then Python is a really good beginner's language to learn because it's very simple. It's very similar. It has like English word. I mean, obviously all of the languages are English-like words, but it's just simpler. It's not longer. And yeah, I love Python. That's always been my first love. But I started out with C++, Java, because they're kind of the foundationals. In your interviews, sometimes they ask algorithms, and when they ask these algorithms, you can do it in any language. You can do them in Python, C++, C, Java. It doesn't really matter to the interviewer. I never studied Python in college. I learned it like on the go, to be honest. And I have learned other languages like that on the go, because I feel like at the end of the day, the logic is similar. The algorithm is the same. It's just syntax varies. And I think once you understand the logic behind something, it's easy to learn different languages. So yeah, just pick up something and you can like start learning it. And you don't, as if you think it's like a substitute for a degree, I don't know. Like I would just say that even in this computer science field, it is getting very competitive, saturated too sometimes, but there's always a lot of jobs because, you know, the future is tech, right? Um, if you know, I would always suggest, like, if you have a degree in it, it always gives you an edge over others, because there are so many people pursuing a computer science degree from universities. So if you're really interested in pursuing this path, I would say either do it as a major or at least a minor. If you really like business and computer science, or you just want to do something, you want to work in the tech but don't want to code, like always taking some courses like that will definitely give you an edge over the others. Because if you are going to work in the tech industry and you don't understand code, it's like, you know, you don't understand completely how you're going to make decisions. So I always suggest to anyone who's interested in the field to at least take a coding course. That would definitely be helpful. And if you're just trying to figure out if you're interested, then you can always take an online course. But if you want to get to the extent of you know, pursuing a profession in this, then you would have to do like multiple courses or get really good at it in order for an interviewer to even be impressed by your resume. Like you would have to do a lot of independent side projects and things like that. It's definitely doable. It's just that you need to have the drive to, you know, do things independently. Whereas if you're taking a course in college, you're going to be doing the projects through the course, and you know, you have to do it there. I hope that answers some of the questions. Does anyone have any follow-up questions? You can put it on the chat window. You can ask me now before I move on to the other topics. Okay, so and then moving on to like I'll do some things related to the podcast. So yeah, actually, to be honest, I was doing the podcast from last year and I kind of took a break the last few months. I kind of do it in seasons so that, you know, I get people. And to be honest, I think this year has been a little bit overwhelming. So I just wanted to take a step back and see what topics I wanted to cover for the next season and things like that. But usually I've done all kinds of things. Initially, I started out with people who were like my teachers say in acting or dancing and things like that. But I've also done topics related to like social, I don't know, like not social networking, but in general, I can't think of the word right now, but like even like stuff related to my culture, which is really different. Like, you know, topics on like marriage and again career and pursuing your dreams and a lot of interesting things. So it's just people who have inspired me. I can definitely add a link to the podcast. You can search for it on Spotify or Apple. It's called Sushi with Seema, but I will add the link before leaving as well. And yeah, that's kind of how I've been doing it. I did record some podcasts during the pandemic via Zoom and did it that way, because otherwise I would be doing it in a studio. And in terms of listeners, to be honest, I did this more so for myself, kind of like a diary, but also for other people who are interested. I'm not the kind of person who likes to get in front of a camera too much on Instagram and like share it. I feel like this was a good way of doing that. And I've always wanted to have my own talk show. So I thought this would be an interesting way to do that without a big production. And listeners, I don't remember how many listeners were exactly there. I would have to check on that number. But as I said, it's not huge. It's not like I'm making any monetization out of it. It's just pure as a hobby. And I think it's helped me a lot. People who do the podcast, they're really like, I wouldn't say honored, but they are so open to it, and they love doing this, and I enjoy it. I think I've become a better listener through this, because you have to really be you have to listen, because you'll know what questions to ask next. And I think that's a really big skill to have these days, is listening. Even in acting, they say listening is everything. So yeah, it's taught me a lot. And then I think there was oh yeah, thanks for adding the links there. Okay, then the next question, oops, something happened. 1 second. And then more like on a personal friend, like there was like, how many years of schooling did you complete in India, and was it hard to transfer credits? And then the other one was like, how often do you get to see your family? These were very sweet questions. And then I would say that in India I completed. So it's funny because I lived in India for almost 10 years. And so yeah, I did like my high school, as I said, and then like 4 years of undergrad. So that's like definitely almost 10 years. And there wasn't anything of like transferring credits. How it works is that because you're not transferring schools, you're just taking a different, you're doing a different degree. So you don't transfer credits. But I think in India, the curriculum is much more like, it's very competitive, but it's very vast. And there's a lot of subjects that we cover in our degree. So when I went to grad school, as much as it was competitive, it was because there were a lot of other people who had also come from India. And it's a big international community, to be honest. I was very surprised to see very few people based in the US who were doing a master's. And I think that makes it very competitive, because everyone, if you're obviously coming from a different country, you want to come here and make the best use of it. You're moving away from your family. And yeah, people in India are competitive, and then when they come here, it's like it doubles up. And that was something that was challenging for me, especially going to USC, which is already like it's a really tough school to get into. And so everyone there was super smart. So when you're surrounded by everyone really smart, it can get to you. So I had to sometimes not get overwhelmed by the fact that like everyone's really good, so you need to follow what everyone else is doing. I think I'm really happy I'm done with that phase. But yeah, and I actually was able to finish my degree earlier because a lot of the courses were very similar to my undergrad. It was just finding the job that was the challenging part, I guess. And then how often? So the last time I met my family was actually 2 years ago. So it's been 2 years since I went back to India, and I don't know when I'll be able to go back because, again, COVID. And yeah, I don't think they can come back here anytime soon. So yeah, I don't know. I have some, I have like some close relatives here. And yeah, I haven't really met them either. So I think it's just been really interesting for me to be able to like not be able to see that. And even friends, I've not been able to see that. Too many of, you know, my friends who are in California. Yeah, and then has COVID affected your job? So yes, it has, in the sense that I've been working from home for like now almost 6 months, and I have like everything set up here. But as I think I have enjoyed it because, you know, it saved a lot of time, effort on my part. Um, and also I, I think it's interesting that you know, that I can do other things on the side, but you know, when I say on the side, I mean that you're saving time with, you know, not traveling or getting ready. You can literally wake up and just go straight to your computer and start working. But that makes me work even more sometimes because it's like, oh, when does this end? When do I get to go home? Oh, wait, I'm already home. And then, you know, I don't have any other things to do. Like I'm not as busy with my extracurricular activities as I was before. So now I've been working, you know, more, and sometimes, as I said, I don't have like, you know, I don't see people, and then I've been living alone for some time as well. So it's been like, okay, this has been really quiet, and I'm someone who loves being around people. I'm definitely an extrovert. So that's kind of been a bit challenging for me, but I think I like the flexibility of the work from home, especially in times where like you are super tired and you can like take a extra nap or something like that. That's nice. So that's the only way COVID's affected my job, thankfully. I know it's not the case for everyone. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful, but with the profession that I'm in, it's not all pretty and flowers. It's definitely a very volatile environment, a lot of changes, a lot of reorganizations that happen. Your job is not always secure, so you have to always be prepared for whatever is the worst case scenario. And I think that's the same case with probably any profession. So it goes without saying. I think that was pretty much it. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions, thoughts? Guys are bored.
Yeah.
No.
Anything else that has popped up as you've been listening?
I just want to say I'm happy you still have a job, especially with COVID. I'm really happy you have a job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely, I think, I guess the theme of this year has just been gratitude. So, yeah, I that's what that's all I can say for now.
It's all you can say. It's all you should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, very, very true. And for all of you, like, you know, to be able to come and do class, I can't even imagine how classes are being taken right now, and for you all to show up like this. And I know it's, again, not the most ideal situation, so I would say that what you all are doing is commendable. And yeah, keep at it. And I'm sure the best is yet to come. And if you guys are like really shy to ask any more questions, or if you have any other thoughts, I will put my email in the chat window, as well as my LinkedIn. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions, thoughts. It can be anything. Like I'm telling you, I love talking to people. So
She does.
yeah, you can talk to me if you just need advice. Like, you'll be like, I don't have any friends. What do I do? I can be your friend. So, just saying. I'm friends with Jeanette's kids, but I'm also friends with her husband. It's like I'm friends with all of them. So
Yeah.
you know, that's like that. I age is not at all like something that matters to me. I think I can get along with anyone. And yeah, like I know I've been in your guys' situation, been at school, I know how it feels. And it's, once you get through it, it's like the best feeling ever. Like you're gonna be done. And yeah, it is. So yeah, I wish you all like the very best for anything I'm not really sure what everyone is doing in terms of degree, where your course is. I would love to know. You can put it in the chat window. And yeah, I again, if any, I'm just putting in all the info there. I thank you for putting all the info as well. And yeah, is anyone else have anything else to say, or are we good?
My major is sports management.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
That can be fun.
Yeah, that's like very unique.
Yeah, I would most likely, what's going to happen is I'm going to be a golf course manager or designer. I'm going to work with a friend of mine.
Okay, that's
Oh,
cool.
that'd be cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
he was one of the partners at Quail Hollow Golf Club in North Carolina. He's one of the managing partners. So this is a couple years ago, but he's a very famous golf course manager and designer. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool that you have like a very specific goal that you want to do with this degree. Not like I definitely didn't have that, so hats off to you.
thank you.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, this is a very diverse group. Seeing
Yes.
criminal justice major. Yes, we need a lot more people like you.
I have a degree in
Maybe-
psychology and criminal justice.
Okay, very cool. Good luck with that. Aviation maintenance and fixed wing pilot. That's like also very specific. And then applied behavior analysis. Interesting. Very cool. Oh, someone's a professional pilot. Sean, that's cool. Very cool. An ophthalmologist. Wow. Yes, Intel has people, I think, jobs for that too. You would be surprised.
I know they do. They have interesting, like they even
Yeah.
have a maker space for employees where people were going in and doing things, and then just the outreach program. They even have activity coordinators to plan
Yeah.
activities for the employees. So
Yeah.
yeah, and they have, don't they have? Well, I don't think it's Intel, but they even have dentists and like an urgent care on site.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Like, you don't just have to, as I said, you might be interested in working in a tech company, but you could be doing any kind of like job there. You could even be like an HR or, something, or a lawyer. There's a lot of interesting, professions, but it's really nice to see how everyone here, is, thank you for asking all the questions. And I hope that even though none of you are doing this as a degree, that it benefited you in some way. If like not anything, just know that like I'm just giving you guys like all the hope, and don't worry, you're gonna get through this. And yeah, I'm like, I can be a really good hype person. But yeah, thank you all so much for spending time with me. I haven't done this in a very long time. So again, if you had any other questions or thoughts, please be free to reach out. Yeah, wishing you guys all the very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Seema.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Okay, so you can see why I brought Seema in. I like bringing her in because she's not your typical geeky software programmer. My husband, he's more of the typical geeky. I call him a code monkey, right? Because he just spends hours and hours and hours just sitting at the computer coding. Seema's the complete opposite. She has a different life outside of work. And she's talked to me about it before. She's even mentioned it in previous years, how her outside creativity actually helps in the coding world because it helps her to think outside of the box and come up with different solutions than, the other engineers that don't have that creative outlet on the outside. So that's one thing. In my own career, I started out as an art teacher, and I look all the time. That creativity has benefited me throughout life all the time. So when I combine the technology with the creativity, I'm able to come up with different ideas and solutions than people that don't have that background. Now with you guys, I mean, you're all over the place, and it's the same thing. You're going to bring unique knowledge and skills and experience to solving solutions because of the different careers that you're in. And then the one thing I do with, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my PowerPoint while I'm talking. But even though you're in a career where you don't think you're going to be doing any programming, I would still explore the option of, because programming is truly another language. It's like learning a foreign language. You're just learning a machine language. And you never know when that's going to pay off. So even though I started out as an art teacher, I have done so many web pages. I've played around with so much code, just different problems and solutions we've come up with. You know, it needed some code. I knew enough to be able to, like, a lot of times I can alter code, but I don't want to code from scratch. My husband's hardcore loves coding from scratch. That's not me. I'd rather take code that someone's already written and adapt it. That's because that's where my skill's at. That's what I do most. So it's not that I couldn't do from scratch. It's not necessarily what I'm passionate about, what I want to do. But at the same time, I want to code some because I don't know, I like it. I'm able to do other things that I can't do if I don't know the code, right? So if you have a chance to learn a coding language, I know some colleges, I don't think Maricopa is one of them. Actually, I don't know with all the pathways now. They've changed so much. But I know some colleges went to a programming language counted as your foreign language. So as that other language, if it's required for your degree, they would count programming language. So that's always something to explore too, if you need to take a language. It depends on your field, because certain fields you might need to actually know another language in a specific language more than you need to know coding language. But always look at the opportunity to do coding language if it comes up and there's a chance. Okay, so let's hop back in. Did anybody want to share anything else as far as our guest speaker? Okay, so what I want to do, I don't want to go through, I know a lot of you aren't interested in being software developers, so I don't want to go through every single detailed information about this, but I want to apply it kind of to some life situations. And if you notice when Seema was speaking, I shared, so your life is full of algorithms. And that was one of the things I sent. Somebody wrote a book about algorithms in everyday life. So if you start kind of using that context a little bit, it'll help you better understand problem solving and just project management in general. So that's the approach I'll take here. So what you're looking at here, you're still looking at the life cycle of an information system development life cycle. And what you see here, this is actually called the waterfall method, which I don't even know if they have that on the screen anywhere. But if you notice, they kind of drew water, so it looks like a waterfall going down the different steps. This is the original process that they used to do programming and setting up systems. And with this way, there's a beginning and an end, right? You've got step one, it goes down to step 6. So you have the problem, you identify the problem and how the problem might be solved. Then you do an analysis. And then you step into design, like how are you going to design this to actually solve the problem? And flow charts are the common thing. We'll look at those here in a few minutes. But you go into development, and the way the waterfall method has always worked is you develop the whole entire program. So you're not developing parts of it. You literally develop everything. Then you go into testing. And then the maintenance and evaluation of the tool once it's been put in, once people are using it, you do maintenance and evaluation. Now, the problem with this is that you spend all this time developing the whole thing. You might get it done. It's not even what the customer wants. Or there's like this piece way back in step, at the beginning of the process that needs to be repaired, which then you're basically rewriting the whole entire program. The waterfall method is still used by some because it is a process to develop and do manage projects. But there's another process actually called Agile. So it's Agile project planning or Agile programming, software programming. The word Agile anymore is applied to a lot of different things. But the one thing that we do, and I don't think we'll break out and do this in a group, but I'll have you think through it. So with the sprint planning, it's an event in Scrum. So they use the word Scrum that kicks off the sprint. So I use this every day. I'm not doing software programming, and I don't necessarily do technology on a regular basis either, but I'm constantly doing project management. So I've adapted the Agile project planning process. I even do it in my everyday life at home, but I definitely do it at everyday work. The sprint is a 2-week sprint. And what you do is you sit down, and they define them as stories. So you have a story. A story is what a customer needs or what needs to be done. And you break the story down into tasks. And then those are the tasks that you're going to work on in that 2-week sprint. So then you take it and you plan out your 2 weeks as far as who's doing what, how much can get done, what task are we doing. And then you track what's completed, where it's at in the process, what still needs to be worked on, what the obstacles are. So that's kind of the gist a little bit. And if you click on, let me copy this link in. I can't just copy it from there, the figures. Let me see if I still have that window open somewhere that I can copy it for you. So this is an example of a Trello board. So Trello, if you're not familiar with Trello, Trello is an excellent, excellent tool for, all right, I'm getting the link here for you. And just pull this up. You don't have to create an account or anything. This is a free one that you can just look at. But when you click on this, it takes you into what an Agile sprint board would look like. You typically have a backlog, and the backlog are things that need to be done that have not been worked on yet. Are you guys able to pull that one up so you can see it? Oh, it went privately. Hang on. I hate that. When someone sends me a private message, it automatically just goes private, which is probably good, so you don't accidentally send something to the whole group that the whole group should not see. Okay, so with this is Trello. It's an excellent tool. It's got all types of boards. So if you create an account, you can create an account for free. You can use it for free. It's just if you start getting multiple teams involved, that's when you have to pay. But it's great for project management. YouTubers use it, bloggers use it, all type of work businesses use it. So it can be used for all kinds of things. So if you're a visual person, you like checklist type things, this is wonderful. I use it all the time for all kinds of stuff. So check it out for sure. But this one, the link I provided you, you have the backlog, you have the sprint backlog. So sprint backlog are the things that are going to be worked on within that 2-week sprint period. And no one's picked it up yet, right? It's there, it's waiting to be picked up so someone can work on it. And progress means someone has picked it up, it's actually being worked on. And then you can add, the thing that's great about Trello, you can add attachments, you can add checklists, you can add comments, you can assign it to different people, you can have tags, tag it differently. Once it gets complete, it goes into a complete column. This one here put in the complete column for each week. I tend to just put in a complete column for the sprint, just one complete column. Okay, let me see. I don't think I can share mine with you. Yeah, it's not public, so. You can also create templates. So if there's things that you're gonna, not quite a macro, but a template. So if you're gonna repeat things, then you just tell it to duplicate from the template that you created. So that makes it kind of fast and easy when you repeat things every week. And there's that also what they call Butler. And Butler allows plugins from like customer CRMs, which are customer relationship management systems, and just other third-party tools can be implemented into Trello. So there's a lot of possibilities with this tool. It's great. I share it with you because it's free. I'm not going to require you to create an account. It's just there and you know about it if you want to. Okay, so all right, so here's an Agile story, that kind of a scenario I want you to think through. And just put in the chat window, because it's already starting to get a little bit late, so I don't want to put you into groups for this. But as a student, you want to create a paper pizza with 8 slices of sauce, cheese, and pepperoni. So in your mind or in the chat window, start trying to break that out into tasks. So if we were in class, I would have done this. I would have brought in paper and scissors and everything. We would have actually walked through the activity. But if you're going to create a paper pizza, what are some of the tasks you would need to complete in order to be able to create a paper pizza? So just type in a couple ideas in the chat window, and I will, let's see, measure. I'll just enter one as an example. Okay, there's an idea to get you started. Let me see. Okay, so what we're doing is just identifying the task. Think about what needs to be done to create this paper pizza, or I guess you could think about you're getting ready to, okay, cutting ingredients. Excellent, Kyle. You're getting ready to do this activity with some little kids or your own little kids. What would you need to do? So Kyle put cutting ingredients. Would we want the ingredients to all be the same color paper? Okay, color, good. April just threw in color, good job. So we might be coloring it in, or we might be cutting it out of different types of colored paper. Okay, spacing out pepperoni so that no slice has too many. Yes, we got to have pepperonis even across pizza, right? Cut the corners, good. One cut out the pizza shape, others cut out the other ingredients. One organizes and applies adhesive and assembles. Okay, so Joe's approaching it from the assembly line perspective, which is excellent. That is definitely something that could probably speed up the process maybe, or make it more organized. How much sauce should we put on each slice? Good. Layering different ingredients, what goes on top of what. I bet that matters to some people, doesn't it? Because of the way it cooks. I guess Garrett would be our expert on that. New York style or Chicago? Yes, definitely very important. Okay, so let's take a vote. New York style or Chicago? What do you guys like for your pizza? I got my favorite.
Oh, that's totally a loaded question.
I know, it depends, right? I've had like Chicago style pizza I've gotten in Phoenix. Well, I actually had Chicago style pizza in Chicago once, and I'm like, oh, now I get it. Like, this is really good.
It is.
But Chicago style pizza in Phoenix, I haven't had what was comparable to what I had in Chicago.
Okay, well there's one place.
Is there?
Everyone's gonna say Lou Malnati's, which that one's great too, but there's one place. It's a little bit of a drive. It's Giordano's. So Giordano's. I'll spell in the chat.
Okay, I was gonna say type that in so I know how to spell it.
Has anyone had Rosati's?
Yeah, Rosati's. Yeah, but Giordano's is like true Chicago style deep dish from Chicago. Like it's real Chicago. Yeah. It's like on par with. It's on par with Lou Malnati's. Like it's on par. It's really, really good. It's off of Tatum and Shea. Like it's a drive. It's the only spot. It's the only location in Arizona.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I felt like true Chicago pizza was like lasagna almost. Like it was pizza, but it was layered like lasagna
Yeah,
and
yeah,
was
yeah.
like cheesier and
It's a pie.
It's a pie.
yeah.
That's why it's called pizza pie.
That is too much.
It was a
it's
lot.
great.
That
It's
is
great.
too much.
It's great. And it's like if you want it, like I've had about like five slices of that, but I've had to literally like I had to not eat the whole morning. I had to
Yeah.
in the afternoon. I had to wait, so I had like I had 5 or 6 slices, and I was so full afterwards. It was so good.
Awesome. All right, we're getting a couple other recommendations in there too.
I'm thinking that if you ate 20 slices of that pizza, they'd have to like pump your stomach.
Well, when
That
I had it
sounds
in
like-
when I had it in Chicago, I think I ate like one piece because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole plate of lasagna, just one piece.
Oh wow.
So
I've not personally tried it, but
You need to.
yeah.
It's a revelation. It's a blessing. You need to try it.
Oh man, too bad they're not gonna like release COVID stuff. We could all go for pizza at the end of the semester.
I know.
still do that. We'll just social distance and wear masks.
Yeah.
I'm getting pizza Christmas Eve. I'm getting pizza. We do every year. We get Lou Malnati's or well, last year we did Giordano's, but we get Chicago style deep dish for Christmas
Yeah.
Eve. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think
That's
that we
awesome.
risk COVID for pizza.
I know someone said I'll risk COVID for beer. It's like,
Pizzeria Bianco is like just the best in Arizona, though.
yeah, awesome. All right, so here's just a little picture I took of, so this is an activity that's open, what do they call it? It's open for people, Creative Commons license, where people can take it and adapt it. But this is just a chart that another group created as far as what the task would be in the process for making a paper pizza. And so they do the exact same thing in software programming. You know, they take a problem that a customer has, they break it down into like stories, and then they take each story, break it down into tasks, and then they just work through it. And the thing with Agile versus Waterfall, Agile is that you can adapt as you go. You're getting the customer input as you're building. So you'll build, you'll share, you get their feedback, you make changes, you continue building. So it's much easier to accommodate the customer input and feedback and to make changes, because you're not waiting till the end and then ask for feedback. And yes, that can kind of be a challenge and a mess. So this is another example of a Scrum task board. Once again, I'm sharing a lot of this because it helps with project management or just goal setting, you know, your own goal setting and project management to reach your goals. So this is just another example. It's kind of the same thing. You've got the product backlog. You got the sprint backlog is what you want to work on in those 2 weeks. In progress is what is actually being worked on. Now with when you're working with customer, you have peer review, where you're going to take the product that you've created so far and actually have the customer give you feedback. And you could also do, most time it's customer giving you feedback, but it could just be feedback from your team members too, because when you say peer review, it depends on who your peers are. And then you actually put it into a testing situation, and then you can, when it's completed, done. Now block can mean a couple different things. A lot of times with the Agile process, you do a daily stand-up. And with the daily stand-up, it's what did I do yesterday? What am I working on today? What are the obstacles in me getting my work done? Now, if any of you if you manage and you work with any employees that are underperforming, they're not doing their job, they're not getting their work done, this is an excellent process to hold them accountable. Because every day you do like a 10-minute stand-up, morning, afternoon, whenever everyone's like together or available, And when you go through every single day, what did you do yesterday? What are you working on today? What are the obstacles preventing you from doing your work? Because as a manager, that's one of your responsibility is to remove the obstacles so your team can get their work done. It really starts putting the light on who's doing what. And then you can start having those conversations and holding people accountable for getting work done. So keep that in mind if you're in a situation where you're trying to manage, or if you're on a team, you might want to suggest this to your manager if you have a good relationship with them in order to get the team fully performing. All right, so let's look. Like I said, I don't want to go through all of this, but let me see if there's. All right, so this is just kind of breaking it down for programming. You're describing the problem, you know, what's the problem statement? What are you trying to solve? You make a plan. This is where that algorithm development comes in handy. That's sort of what we did with the paper making pizza. That's a little bit of an algorithm development. And then coding, you code it into the language that a computer's going to understand. So when you're making the plan and doing algorithm development, a lot of times you're doing words. You might be doing a flow chart, you're mapping it out, you're trying to understand, you know, the process. Coding is you're putting it into a language that the computer can understand. Debugging is actually, if you know anything about coding or have done any coding, there's always errors. It's so easy to make errors with programming language. So you have to go in and debug, and then of course you want to test out the application. All right, this just goes into a little bit more information. Okay, it's the same information I just covered. Okay, algorithm, set of steps that describe what a program must do to complete its tasks. So that's what we did with the paper pizza. That's why we did that, to kind of, excuse me, give you an idea. And then flow charts, let's see. Okay, so here's the flow charts. Now, when you're actually doing software programming, there are symbols. Some of these symbols carry across different industries, but a lot of times you have symbols that are specific to your industry or the project that you're working on. But this is the one for programming, and you can see what that looks like. The general idea is the symbols in your flow charts will typically help communicate it's a visual representation of the process and steps that need to be completed. So just keep that in mind. If you're working with flowcharts, ideas, you're mapping out things, that using the shapes and colors is a way to also help communicate information and make it clearer to people what's happening. So this is an example. You may have seen these before. I saw one of these in a bathroom once, and I took a picture of it. I didn't think about it to get it, but it was something about, I want to say it was pooping in the woods. They use the other word besides poop, but it was pooping in the woods, like when to poop in the woods or when not to poop in the woods. It was something like that. It was meant to be humorous and funny. It was in the bathroom, and it took up the whole entire wall. It was like a mural. But it was this process like this, that if this, and then you get down to yes or no, right? If yes, then you're going to go this way. If no, you go this way. So that's what that whole mural was. You just watched it and you kind of walk through, and it's like, okay, if you said yes, it took you down this path. If you said no, you went down this path. And there were a couple of different decisions as you went. Well, programming works the same way. So if a person clicks or interacts with the program in a certain way, then it's going to follow the one route. If they interact with the program in a different way, then it's going to take them the other way. So that's what that would look like. Flow control, as they're calling it, and the decision points. Now, loops is when it loops back up around. So after you've went down, because it may be a repetitive process, like I'm trying to think like a form. When you submit a form and you need to submit another form, you know, it's a loop. So it's going to take you back up and loop you through the process again. So that's what a loop is. It's, you know, you go through the whole cycle once, but then you might go back up. And sometimes it's the whole entire cycle. Sometimes it's a part of the program. So you're not necessarily repeating the whole entire program. You're repeating a portion of it. Okay, top-down design. Approach in which a problem is broken into a series of high-level tasks. Okay, so this is like our task, really, where you're starting to break down the algorithm. You've got top-down where you're getting the input, processing data, outputting results. So you're just breaking that down as far as what's going to happen at each step of the process, and then what the output's going to be and what that'll look like. All right, so object-oriented analysis is kind of neat. This is a question on your quiz for this week. If you haven't done the quiz yet, I think I put it in there. Object-oriented, it's the cool thing about it, you create classes, and the classes can, as you're using the programming, the classes are meant to be reusable. And if you're familiar with, it's similar to the cascading style sheets when it comes to HTML. It's different, but it's similar. And the idea with that is you create information that's going to be reused, right? It makes it easy. Like if you're across your website, if you create a cascading style sheet, you want your headers to be a certain text, certain size, certain color. If you put that into the style sheet, then it's going to apply across your website. You just reference that information and it automatically, so you're not constantly putting that in for every single header that you want to put in. Well, creating classes is the same way. It's information that's inherited, it's reusable, so it makes it quicker and easier to code. So that's called object-oriented programming. And let's see, programmers move. All right, this is just talking about kind of the transition from coding and getting the algorithm information into code. The codes for instructions for the CPU performs. So remember, it's putting it into that machine language so that the computer is actually able to process it in order to get the computer to do what we need them to do. All right, let's see if we can hop on down. I wanted to get to the programming languages. Okay, all right, so here's we've got different programming languages, and there are many different programming languages. Seema addressed this a little bit. I forget how many programming languages now. It's like ridiculous how many there are. But you want to look at, sometimes there's not a choice. You have to use what the company has or what the project requires or what the customer's already using. But other times you want to look at, you know, how fast does it need to run? How much space is available? What's the target application? Because certain applications will only use certain type of languages. And then there is visual programming languages. Scratch is, this is one that kids can use. So I know my 10-year-olds played around with Scratch, and it's very easy. It's a drag and drop. It's visual. It may, if you use it, I've done it in class before, and it seems kind of childish because most of the people using it are children. But the thing is, if you have no experience with programming at all, it's a good introduction of, you know, starting to see how those loops work and the if then statements. So if you're interested and you want to do something, then don't feel bad about going in and using that, because like with anything, right? It's a little kid. Look at Legos. Legos are for like little kids and start off little kids, and we have these big giant blocks, but now it's amazing the artwork that they can create with Legos. Well, Scratch is the same way. It's a language, and it's a matter of what you do with it, how far you want to advance and play with it. App Inventor, it is part of our course. There's actually activities in our class to use with App Inventor. And I can't remember if you can access all those. I think because you get to them through MyLab and Mastering. I'm not sure if they're available, but if you're interested, let me know, because I can turn them on so you can play with them. I used to do that in class too. I've done that a couple times, and I would do it with the software, with this activity. But what I learned, you use an Android simulator, and most of the time it didn't work. We had a hard time. It was a hit and miss as to who could do it. And of course it worked better if you had an Android phone. So I stopped doing it just because there were challenges and it didn't always work for everybody, which if you sit there and program something, you want to be able to see it work. And when you can't see it work, it's kind of, to me, it's like, what's the purpose of doing it if you can't see it work? So I stopped doing it. But if you're interested, send me a message in Canvas and I'll turn it all on for you and you can see it. So Visual Basic, we're almost done, guys, too, so hang in there. Visual Basic is a programming language. You'll see a little bit of that with what we're doing with the simulations, but they're great for prototyping. It's for rapid development. So if you need something kind of quick, and a lot of times I think it's more for like prototype, right? For people to look at it and test it out. There's also C++. This one gets a little bit more complex. It's but it's a common language too. And it tells you right here, executes difficult repetitive numerical calculations. So that's something, if you're going to be doing a lot of formulas, calculations, then that's a good one to use. Java and C# collect information from network computers. It's architectural neutral, which means you can use it on different types of computer architectures. And then C# competes with Java. I learned Java, so I did an IT certificate for a year or two. I don't remember how long it took me, but Java was one of the ones I used. And how I kind of initially met my husband, I met him because we worked in a restaurant together, but I needed help with Java because I wasn't understanding everything, and he tutored me in Java. So that's kind of how we met and hit it off. But so a little bit more complex, but once you start learning programming languages, it's not that bad. So Objective-C and Swift, I have no experience. It is object-oriented. So let's see, Swift introduced by Apple. Oh yeah, Swift is for Apple. So I've never done any type of programming or coding for Apple. But those are languages, if you're interested, that you may want to look into. HTML is one of the easier. It's not necessarily a full-blown computer language. Right here, it's saying a basic formatting language. But it is good where if you're scared to death of programming, but you want to get your feet wet, it's a great way to kind of learn a little bit. It's easy to Google. I'm always looking up color codes, and sometimes I'll forget some of the formatting or a change, so you can easily Google it and figure out what the tags are that you need to put into the language. So it's an easy one. Scripting languages, JavaScript. JavaScript's probably a fairly easy one to read also, VB script. And then you've got PHP, ASP, and these are, they get more advanced than HTML because you're able to build interactive web pages. All right, and then we've got your Ajax, XML, create web applications that update and communicate with other computers. So once again, taking that programming to another level, more communication, more talking with other devices, other computers. Mobile application. So mobile application and development for like Amazon Voice right now are kind of like some hot areas, and people are paying decent amount of money to get that done. So if you're unsure, not completely sure what you want to do, that's another option for a field area to study. Okay, and explore a programming language of the future, not easy to predict. That's because people are trying to solve problems, right? So they're looking at what do I need to use to solve this problem? And if there's not something there, then they create something new that will solve the problem. So that's one reason why it's kind of not easy to predict. Visual programming languages are developing more and more, so people don't have to have as many programming skills, I guess, you know, the actual hard coding, long script in order to create code. And the visual programming makes it easier so everybody can code. And as I say, we always need a variety, of course, because there's many different problems. Okay, that is it as far as content. Let me look at, let's just review what we've got going on for, all right, that's the wrong course. That's an old course. Hang on, I'm trying to get to our Canvas course, so just look at. So everything is put into the overview in the live online class as usual. All right, so make sure you do the guest speaker reflection if you didn't get it done during class. The paper pizza, I'll probably just remove that one. I won't even count. I'll just delete that because we didn't actually do it. I didn't want to take time for it. Reading chapter 10, which is the PowerPoint we just covered for that. You do have the quiz. You have the Excel 4 simulation training and the Excel 4 simulation exam. Now, good news is you don't have any simulations coming up next week, but you'll have that Excel project to do. So just be thinking about information as far as what career are you really interested in or you think you want to do for a living, and then where do you want to live? Where do you think you want to live? Of course, none of this is in stone. It's just you're going to research it and get some information, and we'll put all that into an Excel sheet starting next week. Okay, I think that's everything. Do you guys have any questions? Questions, comments?